Hello and welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today we're bringing you a first impressions of the Crimson Scales, specifically the Trail of Ashes, but the Crimson Scales system as a whole. The single biggest, most ambitious, fan-made board game expansion, board game project that has ever existed. If you don't believe me when I say that, here's a few stats to keep in mind. This is a fully printed, published, created project. They sold and delivered at cost, with no profit going to anyone involved in the project, a total of 8,000 copies, 2 successful printings, a miniatures expansion, metal token upgrades, because, well, they had the budget for it, an art book, a big box campaign the size and scale of the original game, and on top of that, there has been an amazing, substantial demand for a third printing, which at the moment doesn't look like it's going to happen, primarily because Gloomhaven's off doing other things. A second printing, a map book, they're being weird and wild, and we're going to get to that at the end of this video. I am personally shocked that this is not a official, printed. They don't need to do it for a profit. No one else in this project did. Why is this not printed, published, and for sale on the Gloomhaven store? If you have a community of people that are this insane about your product, I don't know. We'll get to those hot details in a moment. All right. We're set up for Scenario 3 in the Trail of Ashes campaign. We've played through quite a bit. I am familiar with Jaws of the Lion, Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, and Crimson Scales in the past, the core big box expansion, but never as a campaign. The most I've played as a campaign is actually the digital version of Gloomhaven. The rest of it has all been sporadic, most of the time like this. Someone comes over that knows Gloomhaven very well, they set up, we play through 4 or 5 scenarios, and then they leave. You, however,
I have played, I've avoided the digital. I've never played the digital, and I've got my groups have suggested, why don't we just do the digital? It's so much easier. I'm like, no, this is a board game, and my whole point is to get people together. I have played Gloomhaven. I started it, got halfway through it, COVID happened, reset, did Jaws of the Lion all the way through to completion, back to Gloomhaven again, restarted because we didn't remember anything that had happened, and, playing through, and we're almost done with Gloomhaven, original Gloomhaven. I have Crimson Scales. This is my first time.
You're one of the original backers, supporters.
The second print.
Second wave,
Yep, second wave with Trail of Ashes, with the miniatures. I went all in on that thing. Once I saw what this thing did and what was involved, and I was getting my first impression, the magnitude of this game, this, expansion, it's amazing. It's such an in-depth, well thought out, the storylines, the character development, the balancing. This is a Gloomhaven game. Absolutely through and through. And it's just, the magnitude of it is phenomenal. And that was one of the reasons why I backed it.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible thing. I mean, the community that is behind this is a group of die-hard Gloomhaven fans. Right? These are the people that lived on Discord and on BGG, Board Game Geek, and on Reddit, and built communities, built private servers and communities around designing, creating, and expanding this universe. One of the leads of this, Matti Eisenbach, who is a close friend of mine, but a close friend of mine through Crimson Scales. I met him because he produced this, and from there, I've grown to admire, respect, and really just genuinely appreciate the guy and the man and the work that he does. But this is the foundation. This is where I came across this insanity.
I've never met the guy, and I only know him, through your stories here in these last couple of days. I was already impressed with him based on the passion that he put into this project, a non-profit project at that. It just speaks volumes to someone's, involvement in our community, our board game community, the dedication, their hardworking nature, their selflessness. To do this much work, holy cow.
Okay, so let's set up. First impressions. I don't want to do too long of a video. We are working right now on a series of gameplay videos. We are, like I said, we've set up episode 3. I'll cycle through the cameras so you can see, how ridiculous we're trying to make this. I mean, 6 full cameras filming this process. Stay tuned. Get excited. We're gonna have at least 10 episodes before you go home, and then you're scheduled to come back. So if people respond, if they engage, if they enjoy the content, we're gonna keep filming, producing, and diving through. Trail of Ashes is something like 22 episodes.
Yeah.
And my goal, my mark, is to, over the course of this next year, this is one of the games I wanted to obsess over.
Yep.
So over the course of this next year, I'd like to at least get Trail of Ashes filmed, produced, and displayed on the channel.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about our first impressions, though. Let's talk about where we are right now when it comes to what we're noticing about Crimson Scales, what it's doing well and right, what we're expecting or anticipating going forward.
My overwhelming theme of first impression is it feels just like Gloomhaven.
It's Gloomhaven.
There are new conditions. There are new characters. There's obviously all newly drawn out scenarios. It is the challenge of the scenario, the way the game plays, how the conditions are affecting, even the new conditions. It feels just like Gloomhaven.
One of the things that for me is a hallmark of Gloomhaven as an experience is how you get to the very end of a scenario and you're right there about to lose. And Crimson Scales so far has hit that T every time. I've played it previously. We've played the last 2 scenarios. It has been a pucker of a finish every single time. And we're just we're not even focused on playing the game. Or no, we're not even focused on filming the video.
Yes.
We're just sitting here enjoying playing the game, talking, laughing, bantering. It feels like I'm sitting down and playing Gloomhaven.
For the right reasons.
For the right reasons. And and with a new twist on the mechanics engine, with a new twist on the characters, and with a little bit more fun and complexity. I feel like you can feel the love and creativity by the people who designed this, because they're people who finished the campaign themselves and then went back to obsess over it. And there's just something unique about, for instance, Frosthaven. There is something unique about the way Crimson Scales feels like a love letter, and the way Frosthaven feels like it's trying to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't want to be a copycat. It doesn't want to... It wants to be Gloomhaven, but it wants to be its own thing. Crimson Scales makes no attempt to do that.
Yeah.
It just says, hey, you love this game. We loved this game. We finished it. Why don't we do more of that? Why don't we give you more of that?
Yeah.
The balance is identical. The game feels and matches. The print quality and design of all of this. I mean, look at these player boards. The artwork was paid for and hired by the team behind this, right? They didn't take profit to pay for this artwork. This was commissioned before they even started doing an official printing.
And it's the same
and
artist.
It's the same artist as original Gloomhaven. So stylistically, someone could walk into the room right now and they would have no idea that this was not core base game Gloomhaven.
Absolutely. I mean,
tokens, tiles, printing, artwork, cards,
new
mechanics.
Characters. There's a couple, and I don't think it's one of these, but there's new character attack modifier decks. You can't tell the difference. It's all seamless. It's just like it's just more Gloomhaven, and I don't have any problem with more Gloomhaven. In fact, I want more Gloomhaven.
The only thing that I've seen that is a slight difference is some of the cards, like you can see right here. The print quality is a little bit different, and the reason being,
I didn't notice it.
Slightly, it's slightly different. No, not that.
Okay.
The ink.
Oh, the ink. I was saying the cards are identical.
And the reason being is because for any company anywhere, it is near impossible to get exactly the same ink print from one printing to another. You've seen companies that have put out a second printing of their game. Those cards don't match the first. Expansion cards struggle with this really hard.
Yeah.
Because if you just want to incorporate a few simple cards into or an upgrade into your core base game, card backs have to match, and that's a terrifying problem.
Or you just get those customized sleeves and you hide that.
The story here feels like a love letter to Gloomhaven, and feels like a group of people that wanted to just have fun and move forward with it. And I find that interesting because original Gloomhaven was never about the story. Like, I haven't sat down and played Gloomhaven and thought to myself, I'm excited to come back to see what happens next in the chapter. I've thought that scenario was a lot of fun and challenging. My character is cool, and I love the mechanics.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong.
I played through story.
I'm not as deep as you are into the story, so I could be missing this. But from what I've seen online as well, there's a universal opinion that if you want storytelling in your game, Gloomhaven's not where you go.
There are better storytelling campaign games out there. There's no question about that. But I do appreciate, even in the base Gloomhaven, the storyline to it. And I also have the foreteller. So all the audio and everything like that. So we really get immersed in it, and I put it on the good speakers and all that stuff, right?
I'm just enjoying the narrative that's being told here. Yeah. I'm having fun with it.
Absolutely. I mean, the core of Gloomhaven is mechanics are amazing, the balance is amazing, the tension's amazing. You don't know how you're going to get through the scenario, and somehow you figure out a way and you do it. That is it's identical.
Yeah.
This is identical to that.
Yeah.
It's just new conditions, new characters.
Another big thing for me when it comes to just like my general first impressions, like what we've seen and experienced so far, I haven't came across a design choice, whether it's a mechanics choice, whether it's an enemy AI deck, whether it's either of our characters that we're playing, or any of the new items we have access to. I haven't came across a design choice that doesn't make sense.
I agree with that.
And I pick up on these things a lot because I'm a thematic first player. I will notice if something doesn't match a character. I will notice if the mechanics engine doesn't fit into the larger scope of what's being done. And I haven't came across something right now that feels off kilter or feels off balance or feels like it's taking me out or jarring me out of the game.
Here's an example of where there's a design choice that actually enhances the experience. You get poison in base Gloomhaven, poison. That's it. It is what it is. It doesn't stack. Here you've got an ability, and some characters can do a poison 3 or a wound 2, and there's different numbers. You can do poison 2, things of that sort. But it's like, wow, that was, I'm sure there's a great reason to not have it in the base game, but the fact that they made that adjustment and it works as if it should have been there all the time.
Yeah.
And I haven't, like you said, I have not had a moment where I went, that's weird. That's odd. That's not like my Gloomhaven that I've played so many times.
Or
every time
doesn't fit into a game in general.
Right. I'm just playing through, and it's just like getting more Gloomhaven. And I said it a minute ago, and I'll say it again. More Gloomhaven is a good thing.
Here's the other thing. You're playing a character where I think the love language and the cool thing about fans designing this stands out more than anything there.
The Fire Knight. So for me, it's got personal significance. I am a firefighter up in Michigan, and this right here, the character, the cards, some of the abilities. We got an ability called Forcible Entry, right? That's where we go grab a set of irons in the real world, and the door's locked, and we need to get through it for whatever reason. We can get through that door, and hit, drive, and in the door we go, right? So that's something that I really appreciate is how this character, designed by a firefighter, hit the nail on the head, and it's just to incorporate it into the mechanics of this game and to see that it's just another.
You keep reading things or getting cards and being like, hey, by the way, this card, you never go in alone.
Yeah, what we don't have is the lift assist card. Every firefighter knows. We don't have the lift assist card where we just go help somebody up off the floor.
It might be there.
It might be.
You might.
Yeah, it might be a level 9
It could
card.
be a really powerful heal.
Right.
It's all you do every day, basically.
You fall down, I come pick you up.
Any other big notes, any other big first impressions? I'm really, really excited to be bringing the gameplay here. I'm thrilled that you and I are playing, that we have another day and a half or 2 days to sit and film and just dive headfirst into this.
Yep.
We're going to have a wild amount of content here on the channel, so please stay tuned, subscribe, all the nonsense that we beg of you, because it makes, there's no way to explain to people how impactful those little actions are until they're behind a camera filming and trying to make their own content.
Absolutely.
Any other little things you have, though, when it comes to first impressions?
We've covered it all for me. It was the magnitude of the expansion, how it feels like Gloomhaven, the balancing, the challenge, and everything like that. It's so seamless.
So here's my hot take. And I've mentioned this a little bit to you, but I'm curious what your thoughts or opinion is going to be. I don't understand. I can't think of a business reason. I can't think of a human reason. I do not understand why Cephalofair has not endorsed, self-published, hosted, sold, encouraged. They've been involved. Mm-hmm. They did do the open IP. They've allowed their fans to create with their assets. They've allowed so I don't want to take away from what they've done.
Right.
They've done something very few publishers do.
Yeah.
They opened the door to their fans using their assets to create this world. But when you have fans that create this world and go to this degree, that produce this type of insanity, I want to see more people get access to this.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, I want to see the creators of this rewarded. I want to see people celebrated. No one's making money on this.
Right.
Not a cent has been made by anyone. People have spent hours, days, months of their life, thousands of personal dollars from a number of different creators have been invested in bringing something like this to life. And we just got news that there's likely not going to be a third printing. To me, I think and I feel like it's a disservice to all of the people that love Gloomhaven enough to make this, that Cephalofair doesn't follow the lead of, doesn't set the lead as other companies. Other companies like Tuesday Night Games with their Mothership RPG series, which is an award-winning, like, globally recognized RPG system, gives their community permission to use their rule set, which is the copyrightable thing, to create their own Mothership scenarios, rules, guidelines, expansions, and they host on their website the content available for people to get, to download, to purchase. They encourage these creators to print, create, and then they warehouse, ship out, and celebrate.
Right.
And in this situation, Cephalofair's had to, it's like they've tried to dance a fine line.
Here's my take on it. This is where I come from. The fact that Cephalofair allowed this to exist, I thought, was an impressive decision.
Sure,
and you acknowledge that.
I don't want to take away from that.
You figure, the number of years...
Mutty Eisenbach and the team directly worked with Isaac. Not on any design, but they double-checked that they had permission, and they did all the accounting work necessary. They worked hand in hand.
That takes a lot of trust. If I was Isaac and I'm got fans want to create some content and it exists out in the BGG forums and it's print and play stuff, it's like, okay, that's one thing.
It's very different from this.
Very different from this. Incredibly different. And to trust the baby that you created, it spent years in development of trying to create Gloomhaven, and to trust that somebody can bring this level of quality to the market and say, all right, I think you can do this, and I'm going to let you do it. That's
no
an impressive
one,
thing.
For the record, thought 8,000 copies would sell, by the way. The first printing, I believe, was 1,500 or 2,000.
After seeing it, I'm surprised it wasn't more. That's why...
Right now, the third printing, if they had one, would double that amount in a day.
Absolutely. So my hope is that right now, Frosthaven's delivered, I think it's all fully delivered
Frosthaven's delivered.
I don't know about
Gloomhaven 2.0.
Gloomhaven 2.0 is, doing its thing.
Buttons and Bugs is showing up.
Yep.
But here's the other interesting point of information. Go ahead with your point.
All right. I'm going to hope and hold out hope that they'll circle back around, find a business arrangement in which, the creators of, Madi and, Isaac and everybody involved can come up with some kind of a business arrangement. Everybody get into a room and figure out how to make this a profitable business decision for all parties involved that's fair and equitable, but that ultimately, at the end of the day, brings more Gloomhaven to people like me. And I'll be happy.
In my opinion, I'm even more fair to Cephalofair in some ways. I don't think they need to pay any of the designers, any of the creators. I don't think they need to recoup costs that people have invested. I don't think they need to worry about any of that. Why? Because all these people loved their game enough that they did it knowing it would not make them anything at all.
Yeah.
I want to see this celebrated. That's all I'm petitioning for. I don't want people to make money on it. I don't want people to, I want it to exist. And I want whatever Gloomhaven 2.0 becomes, I want to see a Crimson Scales version available, incorporatable to the production quality that this is. And I think the only way that ever happens is if there's demand and pressure on Cephalofair to celebrate their community instead of worrying about the weird legality of the issue, I'm sure that's where it comes from. There's an awkward legal issue here, right?
Yeah,
or
that's the case, that's just lawyers
or
need
the
to get in the room and figure it out.
Yeah, or the financial bottom line.
Mm.
Oh, maybe they won't sell as many base Gloomhaven, but you need base Gloomhaven to play this.
Right.
Here's the other point that I was going to make. Gloomhaven 2.0, it's not designed or improved by Isaac. It's designed and improved by the Reddit mods. Those are the new creators of it. Buttons and Bugs isn't designed and created by Isaac. It's designed by another member of their community. They're already working with people who are doing this. They're already acknowledging them. They're already celebrating them. I just don't want this to get overlooked.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool to see it. I mean, I've purchased fan-made stuff before. You know what, fan-made stuff gets you for about $150? Cardboard tokens with soot residue around the outside, a nice bright note letting you know that you'll get your whole game dirty if you order it, and printed cards that genuinely look good. But this is $150 of fan-created content, not the boxes we just held up, not miniatures, not the scale and scope of Gloomhaven Crimson Scales.
It's so impressive. I'm blown away at how good and how perfect this is, and it seamlessly fits into the Gloomhaven universe. It's amazing.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we're filming all of this content is because the original creator, the pile driver of Crimson Scales, Matti Eisenbach, and quite a few members of the team even beyond him, he was the primary designer and orchestrator of all this. They have currently launched their first ever board game, inspired by the Gloomhaven universe, with a quote on the page from Isaac himself saying he wants more games like ROVE in the world. So they're celebrating it. It's got a new mechanics engine. It's got a cool new story. It's an ethereal world. I have a picture of it here. It's live over on Kickstarter right now. We're doing the gameplay. We're diving headfirst into this. We're celebrating, talking about, and highlighting everything that Crimson Scales is, because it's the exact reason why you should support back and help the people who made this create their own project.
Yep.
I've played the game. It's excellent. I'm very, very excited to get my hands on it. It is different enough from Gloomhaven that it won't feel like a rehash. It is similar enough to Gloomhaven that if you enjoy Gloomhaven, you will enjoy ROVE, period. So, swing over to the Kickstarter, give them a little bit of love and support, even if you just back for $1, and tell them that you appreciate what they've done for our community. And, I guess if Isaac and the Cephalofair team see this...
Hi, Isaac.
Yeah, I mean, they can do what they want, ultimately, and they should do what is good for business. I'm sure there's a lot of information that I don't have.
Yep.
I think supporting and celebrating, the heart of your company, which is the Crimson Scales team, I think that's always the right thing for business. I don't want to see this
fall into obscurity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I got my copy, so I'm happy, but I think
there's no copies left.
Yeah.
There's no copies left.
I mean, I have mine.
I'm just saying, like that's like what's out there is out there.
Yeah.
And at the moment, that's how it'll be. All right. Thanks for
All right.
watching. We're going to go to bed and get up early in the morning and continue playing through this nonsense. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Go make your own fan content. I mean, it can't be that difficult, right?
Yeah, no, I think you can knock this out in an afternoon, right?
At least.
Yeah.
If not, a couple.
A couple afternoons? I don't know. That's asking a lot.
No, a couple games.
Oh, a couple games in after. Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Get a Final
absolutely.
Girl expansion. Get a Crimson Scales expansion. Or get a level 99 Millennium Blades expansion going.
Like 20 more Spirit Island characters.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Root that I'm working on right now. Like, why not?
I mean, just knock them out. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to knock out expansions for every big game out there. Stay tuned.
Bye.